This is going to be so much more than just 5 episodes about the first half of the life of Jesus.
I knew that my love for Scripture, my love for video, these could finally meet up.
Motivation behind creating Appian Media, I saw there was a disconnect in some of the classes I was teaching because the kids, they were learning in different ways than what we were trying to use. Whenever I'd bring videos into class, they lit up. So I thought, well, why not create a series of videos that's biblically accurate and quality that we can use when teaching Bible classes. Talked to a friend of mine, Craig DeHutt, who works in video production. We had coffee one day and I kind of pitched this idea to him.
And so we threw this idea out and we kind of tossed it around for a few months. I think we'd like to go to Israel. We're gonna kind of try to do this for 2016. Last October in 2015, my wife Anna and I had gone on a trip with Barry Britnell, and he had led our group. The next time I spoke with Craig, he was talking about trying to figure out logistics, what would it cost, how would it work? And so I said, you really need to talk to Barry.
He wanted to talk to me because I had been to Israel a number of times and he wanted to ask some questions about logistics.
Barry was just this wealth of knowledge. He has a special love for the Bible lands.
I could hear the excitement in his voice over the phone, and it was not long before we both realized we need to stop talking to this guy on the phone. He just needs to come with us. After Craig and Stuart and Barry spoke, it became more of a feasible thing. They realized we could really potentially do this. And so they started planning their crowd fundraising effort.
Ours was a little different because we really hadn't found any campaigns that were like this. And so when we put it together, we weren't really sure what to expect.
It is a roller coaster.
Oh man, we were just on pins and needles the whole time. And I remember the night that we finally crossed the barrier. This was something we had been working on and praying about, and all of a sudden, boom, there it was.
I know that we were all breathing this sigh of relief and kind of this like, wow, this is really gonna happen. Jet, Craig, and myself, we were all a little anxious to see what would it be like. None of the three of us had been there before, and so we didn't really know what to expect. And as with planning any video shoot, there's always some logistics, and there's always something that's gonna go wrong. And we got to customs, and they almost wanted to hold our equipment for a couple of days because we didn't have the right paperwork. So we had to talk our way out of that.
Yeah, this is that. It's all the same, it's copies or what?
I think we were discovering as we went along that we were on a very big learning curve. We definitely left Israel learning a lot of things about what not to do the next time we go back.
We fell into this rhythm and our team just clicked.
Well, I love coming to Israel, but this experience has been different than all my other experiences because
and different, he means better.
yeah, that's right.
It was an interesting process finding Jet.
I started investigating a little bit more. Are they doing what I think they're doing? Because if so, I want to be a part of it.
Boy, were we in for a treat. Jet is just crazy fun. He added this element that just kept things light. When it came to just getting our hands in the culture, that was Jet. Nope. Yeah.
But yet, at the same time, he can turn it on and in a second, he is just in the zone. And I can think of one time, very early on in the trip, we were up on top of Mount Arbel. Jet had no problem getting danger close to the edge of the cliffs. And we were really afraid that we were gonna lose a camera.
So we can say, after this day, that I saved Jet's life. We knew that just as important as the places we would go and just as important as the content we hope to cover would be the person who would present that information.
We wanted somebody who had a strong knowledge of the scripture, but yet still had a really charismatic personality. And Jeremy just fit that profile so well. And we would go into a place and it may be a very somber, maybe a very reverent place, and Jeremy just knew how to respond to that. And then we'd go some places where we'd be in the middle of this bustling street. Jeremy just fit right in. It was almost like he's done this his entire life.
I have never done a video project with Jeremy before. And I love getting to work on something with my family that we're both excited about. We were able to communicate on a level that only siblings can.
No one's gonna take us as legitimate filmmakers anymore. Dude, I got over that like a long time ago.
And so not only did I have Jeremy there, but Jeremy made the decision to bring his son Keenan. And that was just really special.
What do you think of Israel so far?
I like it.
Pretty neat.
To have my nephew there, willing to do anything.
You could see the progression throughout the trip as Keenan became more comfortable around the crew, and we started relying on Keenan heavily for being that runner boy, so to speak, who, if we needed a lens, if we needed a reflector, if we needed something, hey Keenan, can you go grab that for us? And he knew exactly what we needed. It was just a great opportunity. It's his age group that we really were trying to focus on when making these videos. So having him there, kind of get his take from a 13-year-old's perspective was valuable. It was so valuable to have. When we first said, yeah, let's bring Barry along, I don't know if we actually thought it would be in an on-camera capacity, but he just knew so much. We would have been doing a huge disservice by not putting him on camera. And the two of them together is just really what makes the Following the Messiah series really, really good.
Where's the manger now?
I don't know. Craig and Stuart told me that they had asked Jeremy to come along, and I was thrilled because I knew he'd do a great job.
It was a lot of fun. I think we got a good chemistry going between all the members of the team.
I have a lot of respect for them as they work with the cameras and getting the angles, and it's just been a lot of fun to watch them work.
So it was an amazing experience to work together like that.
From this way, all the way down through here. Yeah,
What's Jeremy doing?
oh, Jeremy, he's lost.
Said he's walking home.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
if that's even the right direction.
No, it's not actually. Well, he'll be heading north. In another hour and a half, he'll be in Lebanon.
Yeah.
And so, I don't
But he
know.
won't have enough water.
He
You think
won't.
he'll get stopped at the border?
Well, he won't make it there. He'll die before he gets
Yeah.
there.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
So
We got more room on the bus now.
Stuart did a great job of just leading the team where we needed to go. He would help Jet and Craig and tell them where they needed to be with regard to the camera. And then he would tell Jeremy and I where he wanted us to walk, what he wanted us to say. He told us when things didn't work and we needed to do it totally again. That happened actually more often than I'd like to admit. This is the difference between a preacher and a software developer.
We're turning you into a 01.
Yeah. I end my sentences with semicolons. I don't know what.
I knew nothing about how to make TV or film or anything like this, and so I've learned a whole lot this week. I've learned to be patient, and I've learned regardless of what the producer says, you do it again.
Stuart is the Walt Disney, and I'm the Roy Disney. Stuart's the guy with these crazy ideas that no one would have ever dreamed of. And he's got this drive and this vision that he wants to grab the moon. And so he's like, okay, well, where do I get a rocket ship? And I'm the Roy Disney who's, well, Stuart, we don't have the money for a rocket ship right now, but we may be able to. Stuart's the guy who already knows that we can do this. And I'm the guy who's trying to figure out the details of how we get that done. And so it wasn't a hard sell to convince people to send us over to Israel to shoot this content. We made a Kickstarter video without a shred of footage of Israel in that video. And it was because Stuart's able to communicate this dream. I want to grab the moon. Can you guys help us afford a rocket ship?
Craig brings different talents to the table that I just don't have, and it's really nice to be able to turn to Craig, bounce ideas off of him, and really get genuine feedback, and I feel like that to me is why we've had such great success so far.
He had arranged to get this little bitty Osmo camera, which ended up being a wonderful little handheld Steadicam, and he just wore that thing out. Everywhere we went, he was capturing the video, but the video that he captured with that thing was just simply breathtaking. It was really amazing.
It makes me look like a much better videographer than I actually am.
It's one thing being there maybe on a guided tour and you have a little point and shoot camera and a fanny pack. We were there with a dozen or so cases and cameras and mics and lights, and Israel is very dusty. So I know one challenge that I had was really just trying to keep equipment clean and making sure that everything stayed fresh and together so that when we pulled into a place, we had a plan and we were able to start shooting as soon as possible. Because maybe the sun was coming down, or maybe the permit was for an hour. We had to be ready.
This was not a vacation. This was the opposite of a vacation. It was unbelievable. I would do it again in a heartbeat. It was the most exciting project I've ever gotten to work on, but it was hard work. This was a small group of dedicated individuals who were willing to give up a lot to get this thing done. And in some ways, that's better than a vacation, isn't it?
You know, it's a challenge when you're doing it in the United States, but then when you go internationally and you're now having to deal with language barriers or deal with cultural barriers, it just adds another level of challenge to any video shoot.
When I see pictures of us pushing this luggage cart full of cases of camera equipment, I laughed. Everywhere we stopped, we had to get all these crates out. The bus driver and the guide that we hired were fantastic. They jumped right in and just helped us. And by the second or third day, we would pull up somewhere, and before we could get out of the bus, the guide and the driver had already pulled all of our crates out and were setting them up exactly the way we knew that they needed to be divided up and set up.
Gus, we don't pack light, do we?
A number of mornings we had already eaten breakfast and left the hotel by 7 o'clock. And that's because we wanted the good lighting, or we wanted to be somewhere without the crowds. And then we wanted to try to get as much filming done during the day as possible. So there was a lot of times we didn't get back to the hotel till 6 or 7 o'clock.
You don't really realize how much you did until you get back at the end of the day and you're prepping for the next day and you realize, wow, I'm beat.
And the day didn't end when we got to the hotel. That's when we had to unload all the footage onto hard drives for backups. We had to charge up all the batteries.
And I don't think any of us really anticipated 14-hour days, but it was 14-hour days. But I don't know that any of us really realized that on the front end, or if they didn't tell us. Jet might have known, but he kept his lips sealed on that one.
No comment.
And he still wanted to come.
One thing I liked about being in these Bible lands, and really any place that I go, I like to eat as local as I can.
Shawarma.
Shawarma.
It's so much more than just going to a place, but I really like to absorb as much culture as I can.
People walking around us with languages that I don't know and a culture that I'm trying to figure out. To be here, not just to enjoy it, but to do what we can to capture it, it's been really exciting.
All the planning that we did, there were still things it seemed like that happened every day that we were not anticipating that made this better than we ever could have imagined.
We go to the airport tomorrow. We were leaving Jerusalem to head to En-Gedi, and on the right, our bus driver spotted this flock of sheep, and we ran out here, and our guide talked to the shepherd, and we got to interact. Like, we got up in the flock, and we were all a little giddy. We thought we were gonna have to go hunting for them, and just on our way out of town for our normal drive, God blessed us with this opportunity. Gave us exactly the shots we wanted to get. It doesn't get any better than that. We need to go to En-Gedi, but we're all standing here because we don't want to stop looking at what we're seeing. A shepherd with his sheep in the foothills of Jerusalem.
The moment that it clicked for me, about halfway through the trip, we took a boat ride on the Sea of Galilee. We tried something different. We put a GoPro on a net, going to cast into the sea. When we pulled up that camera, we were all anxious to see the footage. And so we all crowded around. It was Craig, myself, our guide, and the captain of the boat, and we were looking at that. And it was an amazing clip. We all kind of cheered. And that kind of hit home for me that good quality video content, it crosses all boundaries. It doesn't matter what cultural boundaries there are, what language boundaries there are. And to me, this is what Appian Media is trying to do. We're trying to make quality Bible content that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what language you speak, you can take a look at that and know that this is quality Bible content.
You know, we were following the Messiah. That's why we went there. There were actually parts of the trip where you absolutely knew for certain that Jesus Christ was walking on this very path at some point. It's one thing to go there and to walk in the footsteps of Jesus. The real challenge was to capture that on video, because the whole idea of us going there was to somehow bottle up these locations and preserve them and to share them, because not everybody has an opportunity to go over there.
It wasn't just 6 people traveling over to Israel. It was the almost 200 people who backed our Kickstarter and said, go to Israel and make this. And then our hope is we release them, they're free. Everyone can watch them and share them and enjoy them. Suddenly it becomes everyone's. It's that encouragement and that support that's pushing us. And Stuart and I were trying to get people to understand it's more than just the following the Messiah. Lord willing, this is just the beginning.
To think about the opportunity of going back is exhilarating. As much as we covered and as much as we recorded and shared and taught, I think people keep saying we're leaving out the most significant part. Jesus isn't just some other man. He's the Son of God who died and was raised never to die again. And so as we think about 2017, 2018, 2019, there are so many things we would love to do. It's exciting to think about the future of Appian Media and what God could do with it. And we just have to do our best to be good stewards of the opportunity He's given us.
And beyond that, we have other projects in the pipeline. Craig and I are already talking about what the future might hold. Whatever it might be, we trust that it's going to be a really exciting future.
I want people to be moved by it as we were, because I think the series is powerful and it has a powerful message that needs to be extended to the world.
Jesus really came from heaven. He walked right here. He died for all of us. He rose from the dead. Being able to show that in a video and be able to share that with others, that's the whole goal of what we're trying to do.
I am excited about what it will mean to study the Word and see the Word. I see us continuing to create needed content for Bible students across the world, getting into places that we would never have hoped to get content before. The concept behind Appian Media is based on the idea of the Appian Way, a roadway that was constructed by secular governments to further their interests that the Christians used to spread the gospel farther and faster and into areas that they would never have hoped to reach before. Video and the internet is our Appian Way. I think it's going to change people, and we cannot wait to hear how people are using this.